Hi everybody and welcome to Beyond Politics. We're going to be covering two stories today that center around one theme and one topic, and that is the size of government in our country. And if you want to live an awesome, amazing life, just like we are currently, or if you want things to get better and live an awesome life with endless opportunities and lots of fun and adventure and no worrying about what's going to happen and no morbid news, then we need to rethink how government is created. And right now it's created to get bigger and more powerful and control every aspect of our lives, because through the Constitution it gives them that power to care for our lives and to take on that authority. And what we're seeing now with the budget speech, it was rejected twice, if I'm not mistaken. Is it twice?
Twice, yeah.
Luckily, the 2% VAT increase doesn't seem to be going forward for the moment, but we will see. Some people actually dared to say it's a good idea. I don't comprehend on what planet is a good idea when so many people are already struggling to eat every day. But anyway, this budget has been very fascinating. I don't know what the next budget speech is going to sound like, but there's certain things that we just want to highlight, and then we have a solution. It's not a new solution. There's an article.
In fact, you came up with a solution a long time
A
ago.
few people have come up with a solution. And Adrian Besson actually wrote an article about this, one aspect of the solution, which I find very interesting.
So what we're talking about is starting to filter through into society, and the more people that speak about cutting down the size of government, and Lauren, you specifically said we should get rid of provinces, not provincial boundaries, but
provincial government.
Government specifically.
But just to give, so the government's in a pickle, like I've said before. It's running out of money. It has been running out of money for a long time.
It is out of money.
And it's trying so hard to get more tax from citizens, but obviously that's not workable, because you're either going to tax people to death, or those who could technically afford to pay that tax will just take their money out of the country, leaving us in a very tight spot in this country. So some other things. So the finance minister, he had a 6-hour meeting where he gave his no VAT increase budget speech, but he says that...
Yeah, that's with cabinet, and it's a second draft basically, and that was rejected outright.
So there's some things in the budget speech that has gotten the chopping block.
This is not a speech.
No.
This is him talking to cabinet, okay? Yes. So the speech hasn't happened yet.
So these are the items on the chopping block.
It's a proposed budget speech.
The last one is rather frightening, the fact that it was even a consideration. But anyway, these are the ones that were on the chopping block. Cabinet just rejected a whole bunch of things. More than 29 billion rand over the medium-term framework, or the next 3 years, to hire unemployed doctors and to fund other related health goods and services. The government really seems to be focusing on health lately. But that got the chop. And then 29 billion was to go to the recruitment of 11,000 teachers. The cut would also impact funding for early childhood development, which is mandatory according to the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act. Fascinating. So this is the predicament the government's in. They're creating laws that give them power to do things that require budget, but they've run out of money. So now they actually need to cut the very things they're legislating from the budget. Doesn't make sense.
It means they can put parents in jail if they want to. Basically, that's the bottom line. But they can't actually administer the very laws they've put into place.
There's not enough schools in this country, but that's another topic. A 2 billion cut for prison warders, and a 23 billion increase, 23 billion rand increase for wage increase of 5.5 for government workers.
Yeah, the cut on the wage increase of 5.5%.
And then
that won't go down well.
About 13 billion for the Department of Defense, which would have gone to pay for salaries and provide for the recruitment of younger members of the Defense Force.
But here's the kicker.
Yes, about 5 billion rand. Our money that we work hard for, which goes to the government, that would have been set aside for the Democratic Republic of the Congo deployments.
So 5,000 million rand of your hard-earned money going towards putting our soldiers in harm's way in the DRC. How on earth is this okay when there are people starving in our country? It is psychopathic. These people are crazy. They must be vested interests that they are protecting there, that they are not talking about, and there's obviously lots of rumors flying around. But this is where your taxpayers' money is going, and I see a revolt coming if the government doesn't change what we're going to be discussing next, or do something similar very fast.
I do think that at the end of its lifespan, Governments do try to take the most power, and that's what we've
Of
been
course.
seeing with legislation. But now, Adrian
Adrian
Basson,
Besson, yeah.
Adrian Basson, sorry, he has an idea to cut costs, and he says, this is not a unique idea, nor is it the first time someone has punted it. And I know one or two, besides OM, one or two other parties that have called for this as well. Definitely not new. The idea that in order to save the situation that we've just highlighted with our budget in the country and the inefficiency for government to actually deliver on what it promises, to actually make government smaller. Can you imagine that? The answer to all our problems is to reduce the size of government. I fully believe that. Less laws and physically less government. And one of the ways is to just get rid of provincial government altogether. So here's some interesting stats. We'll leave the link to the article. We're not going to read the whole article. We'll leave the link in the description. But here are some interesting stats. Last year, the Auditor General found provinces incurred 165 billion rand in irregular expenditure over 5 years. Can you imagine that?
That's a lot of money down the toilet. So irregular expenditure in provinces. And, you have punted that we don't need the provincial government.
Okay, firstly, do you know who your premier is? Can you name them? Can you tell me what they've done recently, just on the top of your head without Googling it? Again, can you name any of your members of provincial legislature?
And they all have advisors, like 3-4 advisors that earn salaries.
Yeah, I think I've always believed, having interacted with provincial government back in the day, I've always believed it's a show. That's all it is. It's PR, it's a show. They don't actually do anything concrete, and they don't do anything meaningful or worthwhile that local government cannot do better for the people that they serve. So, National Treasury allocates more than, guess how much?
Half our budget, 700 billion rand.
Yeah, 700
to
billion
provinces
rand.
each year. So the 165 billion was wasted expenditure over a 5-year period, but every year 700 billion to provinces.
It says a big chunk of this goes to funding schools and hospitals, but much of this is allocated to departments and entities that could be moved to the national or local government levels. Others could be shut down, 100%. Others could be shut down. So in order to move forward in this country, we need to reduce the size of government, but those that are in power right now, everyone in the GNU, I can guarantee you, will not support the reduction of size of government in a significant way.
Well, Adrian Basson, I don't agree with him most of the time, but on this one I agree with him 100%, and it looks like he has climbed on the own bandwagon, and he says in these tough times it's a debate worth having. I always said that things will force us to self-correct. Things will happen that will make people change their minds. And when they see how, for instance, in the US, you get departments like Doge, where they cut expenditure because it's necessary, it kind of catches on and it becomes a popular thing to do in people's minds. And all of a sudden, having this bloated government is not so cushy anymore, and the people become aware and they think, but why is our government wasting all the money we work so hard for?
Can you imagine the wastage in all the other departments? So what we actually need is a super A-team to go in there to every government department and just get rid of all the unnecessary staff and bureaucracy that's holding the country back. A small government equals a big economy.
But to me, this should happen worldwide. This is just common sense. This is not something that should have to be debated. The problem is in our country, the African National Congress needed to bloat government to keep that support and dependency on government. To stay in power, and that has now started to tank completely. It was always going to crash, and people are trying to get the last scraps at this stage, and all the parties in the GNU is a part of this because they all look out for their bankies for booties, their friends and family.
I'd love to know in the comments, do you know who your premier is? Can you name any MPL in your provincial legislature? And can you state explicitly what provincial government has done for your community? I'd love to know any success stories. I'm open to it. But other than that, I think reducing government first by getting rid of provinces is a step in the right direction. Much more work ahead. But reducing the size of government is the only solution to improving the economy. Thanks so much for watching. Looking forward to hearing your comments. Please remember to visit our website beyondpolitics.co.za. You can sign up to receive our newsletter. You can check out the workshops we offer, and you can sign up for our free training.